Hello everyone, this is Akash Chauhan again, and in today's lecture, we will be discussing about the assembler and the linker, what we have not covered in the previous lecture. I hope you guys have reviewed my previous lecture in which I have covered the preprocessor and the compilation part. So let's review what we have done in you know a nutshell. Preprocessor is preprocessor. What is the role of preprocessor in a program? It will replace all your defined values, right, with the actual values. Define macro function with the actual function. Compiler is responsible for checking the semantic and the syntax analysis part, right? We have covered this in the previous lecture. You can check my previous lecture if you are not aware what I am talking about. So in semantic analysis, we create tokens and we focus on the syntax, the validation of the syntax, if it is valid or not. Okay, and the semantic is the meaning of that identifier variable we have used. So it happens because the compiler converts your program statements into number of tokens or lexemes. Okay, so till this point we have covered till here, right? So we have covered this part, and today we will cover the assembler and the linker part, and if time permits I will also cover the practical part of what we have discussed so far, or what we'll be discussing about the assembler and the linker. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start about what is assembler and what is the role of assembler. Okay, so let me start. Okay, so we are going to discuss about assembler, right? So let me take the same example I have taken earlier. Y equal to x plus a multiply z. So this is the statement we have focused in the compiler part and the preprocessor part as well. Okay, so and we also know that if x1 is stored in R1 register, a is stored in R2, and z is stored in R3, and y is stored in R4. So the assembly readable code. So assembler would read this code, assembler readable code. So the code would look like this. So uh, as you know that the multiply has the higher precedence over addition operator, right? So the very first function would, the assembly readable code will be converted. It would be like this. We are multiplying R2 R3 and storing it in again R2. The second one would be add would be R1. We are adding R1 and the end result is in R2, and again storing the data into R1. The last one would be move. Move is to actually copy whatever you have calculated right side to left side. So we have calculated data in R1, then the R1 will move to R4. So this is actually your assembly readable code. If so assembler can read this code, and the job of assembler is to convert this code into binary code. Okay, so how the assembler would do that I will tell you, but before that what I'll do, I have to make lookup tables. From those lookup tables the assembler would read the binary code of all these functions, registers, or whatever we have used in the assembly readable code. So I'll pause the video and create those tables, and we will discuss each table one by one and discuss how the assembler will operate on those tables to convert the assembly readable code into binary executable code. So assembler job is to create binary readable code or binary executable code. so that that code can be forwarded to the machine and machine can execute it. Okay, or machine can understand it, what is the instruction the programmer has written. Okay, this is the job. So let me pause the video and write those tables for you. I'll get back to you. So I have created these two tables. One is for operators and the second one is for operands. So this is actually, if you look at it, this is the operator, right? And these are the operands. So it will store the code for respective operator or operand. So this is for the operator, like add has the operator code 1 and the operand R1 register code or the operand code is 1. So this will help us to create a decimal format register statement. So we do say the statement is register format decimal statement. So it is in decimal. It is the this we need this is actually the end result we are looking for after assembler. So if you look at this uh, statement, so it has three lines actually. It has three assembly readable code lines. If you look at it over here, so it has multiply. So for this first line in assembly readable code for a statement, so this we say as a statement, three assembly readable lines. So the first line we are looking forward to write a uh, binary code for that. So if you look at it, if we are filling this table, so it is saying that you write the code for the operator and then the operand in that particular line in the assembly readable code. So we are looking forward to multiply R1 R2 and store the data in R1. So let's fill this table with me. So multiply code is 2, right? And the operand 1 R1 code is 1, R2 is 2, and again we are going to store the data in R1. So this is in decimal format. So this statement would be converted first of all into decimal format, right? And that statement then would be converted into the binary format. So let's say if we have a 4-bit register. So let's say if the size of our register is 4-bit, then for 2, uh, what would be the binary format for 2? If we have, let's say, 0 0 0 0, it denotes to 0, right? 0 0 0 1, it denotes to 1. If we have 4 bits, so let's say our register size is 4-bit, then we are going to represent these decimal numbers like this, right? I think you guys must be aware about this fact. The operator is 2, and for 2, the binary 4-digit number would become like this, 0010, and for 1, 0001. This is different. This is for operator, and the rest of the blocks are for the operands. So it will look for operator in this table, in A table, and for the rest of the blocks, it will look into this table. So you can fill this. Second operator is R2, again 0010, and we are storing the data in R1. So at the end, let me copy this text for you guys. Okay, let me do this. So this is actually the end result we are looking forward to. So assembler would return this data to the linker, okay, for each line. So this is not just this is not about the whole code, right? This is about only the one line in the assembly readable code. If you can relate it with this one thing, that it is not the whole code, it is just the multiply multiply R1, R2, R1 binary format code. So we do say it binary format code. So this is just for this line, and itself it is not complete. So even to represent this statement, x plus a multiply z, it requires three such binary formatted lines. Then the linker would understand this because it is now in 0 and 1 format. So the linker would accept because the assembly readable code output is xyz dot o. This is object file. Object file is basically the raw data in 01 format. So it will reach to linker. We will look at what the linker would do with this code, but you must understand that the linker usually accepts uh, the binary format code. So this machine can understand. If you pay little attention to this thing, then machine can understand this code, understand this code. So this is about assembler. Okay, so this code can be can be forwarded to the linker. So let's look at linker right now. We have done the assembler now. So we know the linker is what it takes. Let me draw it for you. Linker takes all your object files and convert those objects files x dot out or xyz dot exe. This is actually executable. This part I would write it. This is actually executable binary code. We would look at the difference at xyz.out and xyz.exe, but they both represent executable binary code. So the job of linker is to access all the object files, like we have used cout, cin, .o, log.o. So the linker job is to combine all the object file. So the linker job is to combine all object files into one executable. I'm sorry for the ringtone. Executable binary file like this, xyz.out or xyz.exe. So are you able to see the difference that so far using the assembler we have created only one such file, and where we have created all these files? Cout, cin, actually the predefined library files that we don't need to compile or pre-process, or we don't need to create an assembly readable code for these files because they are all predefined functions in respective libraries. Okay, so these are all predefined files and stored with the libraries of C++. So we don't need to worry about like where to get all these object file. It is the job of the compiler to collect all the relative functions uh, object files and attach all these object file into one executable binary code. And the magic is all these codes, even xyz.o, cout, cin, all these codes are also executable binary files, but they are not complete. If we use only this, we will where the compiler would find the actual code for these functions. Cout, cin, actually I will when I will be covering about the header files and the namespace, I will cover this, but I'll tell you in brief that the actual code of cout, scenes and log and any other libraries functions we are going to use, the actual code will not be resided in the header file. Header file is just to declare those functions. Okay, and the actual code will be resided into the object file, and the object file will be stored in the libraries of the C++. Okay, this one we have created, but the predefined, the C++ is responsible for providing the object file for those. So linker job is to combine all these object files and create a single executable binary code file, either xyz.out and xyz.exe. We will look at the difference later, what is the difference between these two files, but you must understand both of these files are executable binary files, so machine can understand this code and can execute. So our journey from the very scratch, like this, we had xyz.cpp, and now we have either xyz.exe or xyz.out file, right? Uh, Let me correct it. .out file. So this is the end result, and we have started from xyz.cpp. So these are all the units we have covered. Okay, and let me try to give you the practical implementation of all these 4 units as well. So what I'll do, I'll first run preprocessor. What I'll do, I'll run these unit individually. Okay, so what we can do, if I run only preprocessor, not whole unit, not every unit. Okay, sorry. What I'll try to run only preprocessor first of all. Okay, I will not compile all rest of the units at the same time. So I'll run preprocessor at a time, then I'll run compiler and see the file xyz, look at this file and see what we have done so far is correct or not. Then this file would be created, and then I'd run assembler only, okay, to check xyz.o file is created or not. And it would be great if we can check the xyz.o file as well, right? We can check the content of this file. Then I'll try to run this linker part only. Okay, so in Linux, so now you can understand why I have used Linux from the very start, because in Linux it is possible to execute only one unit, not all the units at a time. So I can run preprocessor, compiler, assembler and linker individually. Okay, so let me implement that. Okay, and I'll show you the command as well to run preprocessor, compiler, assembler, linker for your program, and how all these files will be created. And we can also check all these files, okay, to check what we have done so far is correct or not, because we have done only the theoretical part of all these units. So let's cover the practical part of that as well using Linux. So let me pause the video, okay, and let me open my virtual box or Ubuntu, right? So guys, right now I'm in my Ubuntu, and I have created this my first program. So let's open this program using gedit and my first program. So in that program, I have already discussed this. This max is as I have defined in the program. So the preprocessor would replace max with the 100. So if I run simply the preprocessor, then the preprocessor will create the name of the file my first program dot I file. Okay, and in that file all max value will be replaced by the 100. That is what we have learned, right, in the preprocessor. Okay, so this is let me write all the commands for running to run the individual units. Okay, so you guys can note down. Okay, let me write those commands first of all. Okay, so for the preprocessor, okay, for preprocessor, preprocessor, we have this command. So I know that as we know that the input for XYZ for the preprocessor would be CPP, and the output would be XYZ dot I, right? So the command to run preprocessor is simply write like we compile our program. We use G++, okay. Then we have to use hyphen capital E, and your program name here is, let's say, CPP, okay, and it will convert your code into it will create a xyz.i file. So in probably in the latest version, it will not create the i file .i file directly. So it will what to say? It will show you the output on the console. Okay, so it will show on console. Console means console is the terminal we are going to use. So instead of console, let's say in Ubuntu we don't say console, terminal. Okay, so if you want to create xyz.i file by your own, so to do that, the simple trick is type the same command and write append this as well, xyz.i. So what you are saying, you saying whatever is on the terminal, write that into xyz.i file. Okay, this is for the preprocessor. Let the second unit, the second part is, if you remember, is compiler. Okay, so compiler input file would become xyz.i and the output file would be xyz.s, right? So the command for that would be g++ hyphen capital S and your program name xyz.cpp. For the compiler, it will run only compiler, not the preprocessor, assembler, or the linker, only the compiler. So next is assembler. For assembler, the input file would become xyz.s and the output would become .o. So to run the assembler in terminal is, I think it is small c. Okay, I'll check it out, xyz.cpp, or maybe capital C. I'll check when we will be executing this command. And the next last one is linker. So if you want to execute linker separately, then the input file would be for .o and output file would be xyz.exe or xyz.out file. So the command for that is g++, I think small o, and xyz.cpp. It will create this file for you. Okay, so these are the commands. Let's run all these commands in the Ubuntu. Okay, so let's run the preprocessor first of all. Let me close. Where is the gedit? Okay, so this, as you are able to see, we have not used very complex program. We have used only very simple cout function here, and the preprocessor would replace 100 in our program. So we will check it out. Okay, so for preprocessor, what is the command? G++. Okay, I'll show you. So preprocessor hyphen capital E and the name of our code, right? So let me do that. Hyphen -c and my program name. Okay, and it I mentioned this that in latest version it generally doesn't create the .i file, so it will show you the output over the console generally. So we can store the output of the console into a file. We will see. So this is actually the file the Linux or is creating for you and running only the preprocessor. So to store this into a file, this is the command like xyz. You want to say the name of your file xyz.i. So it will not show the output over the console. It will store the data into I file. So what I'll do, I'll open this file gedit and let me check if it has replaced all the max values from in my program with the 100 or not. So xyz dot I. Okay, let me open it for you. Let's go to the, I think it would be somewhere here. Okay, so as you are able to see, we have written max over here, but it has replaced max with the 100. So we have run only our preprocessor. Let's run rest of the units as well. So next is compiler. So to run the compiler, the command is this and my program name. So as you're able to see, it has created this my first program.s file. So let me open it for you. Okay. So we have discussed that the compiler would check the semantic and the syntax analysis part, right? And it will convert the code into the assembly readable code, because assembly readable code is what we need for the assembler. So that the assembler can convert that code into the binary readable code. So as you are able to see that here we have used you don't need to know everything about this file at this point of time. So it has used move, cmp. So these are all the assembly readable commands. Okay, so the assembler would read the code from this file. Let's run our assembler now. So to run assembler, so I think the command is capital C. Let me try. It should create .o file. Okay, it has created. Let me check. Small c. Okay, so it is a small c, not capital C. So let me open, because it has created .o file. So .o file would be something like this, what we have discussed here, like this, right? Because assembler would convert the assembly readable code into that. But if we open it, gedit my first program.o file, it will take maybe little time. So yes, this is we are able to see this is somewhere in the hexadecimal or something. We can get the glimpse of that, right? It is in UTF-8 and it is something in FD, something in hexadecimal or in binary, right? We don't need to understand this code, but what we have understood so far, that the this command g++ hyphen small c would run the assembler, and assembler is responsible for creating the .o file. If you remember this part, that it will create a .o file, xyz.o, right? And the linker at the end would combine all the object file and create the xyz.out file. So without any further ado, let's run the linker as well. So to run the linker, the command is hyphen, I think, small o, and it will create a executable binary readable code. G++. Okay, I think it is capital O. Yes, it is capital O, not a small o. So let me correct it. Okay, so this is small. If you remember, this is small, and The upper one is also, where it is, where it is. This is also small. Okay. So this is okay. So let me run it and okay. Let's look at this part. So it has created a .out file. So if I open it, it would be the same as the previous one, this my first program.o file, but the major difference would be it is the combined file of all the functions, all the necessary functions call we have done in our program. So the size of the file would be larger than the file we have created previously, a .o file, because it is the combined file. So my question is, so probably some of you might be thinking that we have not created the exe file, we have created a .out file. Okay, so let's come to our notes. So look at this fact that at the end, the linker would create a combined file and name it as whatever the program name you have used. In my case, it is my first program. So it is creating, but I have not. So in probably in my previous video, I have told you, or maybe previous or maybe the I think the second previous video, you can see that you can choose the name of this executable file as well by after there is a command I have mentioned. So we are able to create this file but not this. Okay, so the only difference between this and this is if you run this command g plus plus uh, small o and your program xyz.cpp in Linux, it will create a .out file, and in Windows it will create exe file. Both are executable binary executable code, so it will happen in Linux based systems and it will happen in Windows based systems. So this is the only difference. But both are both are binary executable files. Okay, so the journey we have started from the preprocessor, we have ended at linker, and more precisely we have ended our journey at a.out and a.exe file. So guys, I think we have done with the compilation procedure. This would be the last video regarding this compilation procedure. We have discussed the theoretical aspect and as well as the practical aspect as well, right? So I hope this has given you good depth about how the compiler functions. Probably in your higher studies, if you go for a master's and maybe MS, you would get the access of this. You would be using or maybe designing your own compiler at some point of time. If you go for the higher studies, it will help you there. And at this point of time, I think it will help you to give the depth of the compilation procedure, how it happens, what is the role of preprocessor. One important thing I should mention that a lot of questions would be there regarding this in your interviews in whenever you are going to appear for your placements. So if someone is going to ask you about the preprocessor, compiler, assembler, or the linker, you must be able to give the appropriate answer, because we have not only discussed this whole procedure theoretically, but practically as well, right? So you guys must be aware about the every bits and pieces of what we have discussed so far. So this is about today's lecture. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Um, in our next lecture, we will be covering about the header files, namespace. We have already written the C++ program, so we don't need to work on that. So in your syllabus, probably we will cover till the namespace, header file, overview of C++, and I think you guys would enjoy the next sessions as well. We will try to make those sessions quite interactive. So thank you guys for today's lecture. It's a pleasure.